talk about that because I know that you draw from that for your artwork, but sometimes
okay. Hemingway prattled on about that quite a bit.
Yeah.
The two worlds ne'er shall meet. It's actually, there's a whole new wrinkle have been thrown into the equation of late. I wouldn't say surfing is a hobby at all. I mean, you guys know that. It gets in your blood and it runs deep, and it's part of your makeup. Culturally we're attached. It's odd. I've got a very odd relationship. I kind of detest surfers, but I love it more than anything. And there's a kind of understand. I don't know, but there's a new wrinkle being thrown in since the pandemic hit. I've just discovered that most of my art world people, operate within a spectrum of sanity. And they basically hew to the contours of empirical reality. Whereas now amongst my expat and surfer friends, I find out they're riddled with fucking conspiracy idiots. And as a son of two scientists, who's grown up with critical thinking just being sort of innate to sort of like daily life and breathing itself, I pretty much go apoplectic when I run into these people. So I might have a reputation around here in Bali as being, I don't know. I don't want to find out. I don't really care. The social life here is something else. That's another wrinkle. See, there is this surfing part. When people ask me about surfing and my connection to it, I always go back to one thing. It's not jumping around on a wave. I have no interest in all this hopping around and all of that.
Me neither. Not my style.
The main thing is that you sit out there and stare at the ocean. You stare into the emptiness. You stare into the void. You stare at that horizon and watch it like a hawk. Just watching it for minor movements and that kind of Zen fixation. And then sooner or later it will deliver something. And
there was a part of not to get really booky about it. Michel Foucault wrote in Manners and Civilization. He was commenting on how people were sent out to sea who were seen as mad because they thought it would actually cure people. So they would stick them on boats. And that's where the term ship of fools came from.
Oh, really?
And I thought that was but the same thing, you sit out there and you stare at the ocean for hours and it's meditative, it's beautiful, you're concentrated because you're waiting to see what's coming.
Rhythms, tide, wind, all sorts of shifts. It's a very complex set of forces at work. The cliche analogy is, a skier just gets towed up a mountain, the mountain doesn't move, it's a static object. I always liken it to people talk about we're trying to understand the analogy I always go back to is we read the ocean like a New Yorker reads the street. It's simple to us. We understand, the traffic on this side goes this way, this is going to happen. These are the variables. And within these set of variables, but a New Guinea Highlander at the corner of 42nd and 8th Avenue and said, walk to 33rd and 2nd, they'd be dead within a block because they have no concept of what we consider to be very simple. And I think that's how surfers see it. It's that kind of clarity. When we're out in the water, we just understand we're just at home in the ocean. Like when we're on a boat, other people fear those depths when the water turns sort of a deep phthalo color, and it's deep.
Right.
They feel fear. We feel a calling. We feel a voice beckoning us. Say, come in.
Yeah.
And so those are the kind of things. That's where sort of surfing. Do I like riding waves? Yes, I like longboarding waves. I like a lot about other sort of spiritual aspects. I'll often be out in the water and two loud idiots, usually Euro donkeys, are talking over me, one on each side, yelling. I'll turn around and go, and some of us don't have a freaking God, okay? So, this is where we come for, this stuff. So,
Yeah, no, I had that experience about a month ago. I had, of course, we're all struggling with like this COVID situation, and the ocean offers up this wonderful swell, and you paddle out there, and every other idiot's out there too, and they're just chattering away because they haven't seen each other. And I'm like, my God, could you guys just please shut up? You're ruining it for everybody. Those are the people who just don't get that metaphysical side of being out there in the water. All of those kind of like wonderful spiritual moments are just ruined by the chit chat. Drives me crazy.
A lot of running mouths and they miss waves. So it's frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, surfers had a reputation. Look, when I was started in art, I kind of kept it quiet. I used to joke that it was like gay men in Hollywood in the 30s. They would kind of like look at each other across the room and nod, but kind of like keep it all kind of like. Well, surfers were like that in the art world. We knew who each other were, but kind of like we didn't really talk about it because people thought we were just stupid. And I've definitely come out the closet on that one. It's just after the likes of lots of people, Richard Feynman, a long list of stellar minds associated with surfing's history, and we can push back at this point.
Yeah, so not to backpedal too much, the premise of this new show that we're doing, it's a New York centric radio show, but we get people from around the world to kind of participate, and it was mainly focusing on people within the surf world, but then we started meeting people who were more from the art and design side of things that kept speaking about how inspired they were through surfing to basically get into their creative process. So like you, I was kind of in the closet as a surfer in the art world, and I was actually instructed when I was in grad school to just not talk about that side of what I do. They're like, best to keep that quiet when I was over at Goldsmiths in London. And
you went to Goldsmiths?
Yeah, which is a very fun school. Are you familiar?
Yeah, of course. My ex-father-in-law is Michael Craig Martin.
Oh, wow. Okay. There you go.
Yeah, and I'm best friends with all the YBAs. We go back from the beginning.
Yeah, I think I've seen a couple of photos of you with Hearst. So
yeah, but all of them, Chapman's, Mark Quinn, Tracy, all of them. Yeah. They didn't all go to Goldsmiths, but I know them well.
They were knocking around, yeah. But yeah, it was a great program. But I was told basically, like, that's very interesting, but people kind of think surfing is dummies, so don't let that infiltrate your work.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
When I was in the Groucho Club one night, it was just surfers all around me.
Really?
I don't know why. Oh, yeah, Damien's ex, who he's got 3 kids with, she's a surfer from California, and so she's big into it and brings them all around. So it's actually, they live in Devon, so she can surf.
Yeah.
So that's actually quite a scene.
Yeah. So I was running down to Cornwall back then whenever the swells were hitting, and kind of surfing Bude and running over actually to Ireland if it was good, like Donegal in that zone, which was a lot of fun. But yeah, kind of big and scary when that happens.
Oh, yeah.
but yeah, it was interesting. So we decided to launch an art and design side of this program. So we've been reaching out to different artists and shapers to kind of discuss, how art has influenced how surfing has influenced their art and vice versa. And it's been quite fruitful and fun. So we figured we'd reach out to you. So
have you done Mary Heilman?
Not yet, but it's on the list.
Surfing.
Yeah.
Yeah, she loves it. All those paintings are all about being in the tube.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She's on the list for that show at Florida Atlantic University as well. So
she's in that. She's in that show. Good.
Yeah, she loves to talk about surfing.
So we do have a list of questions that we could actually work through. They're not. They're just kind of like starting points. But I was interested to find out when you first were introduced to surfing. So I know you had a very mobile youth. You were moving around quite a bit with your family.
Well, I had an earlier introduction to surfing that wasn't my official introduction to surfing. We lived in Cape Coast, Ghana, West Africa, and every weekend we'd go down to Birua Beach, which was back in those days. It was palm leaf roof palapas, little bars down the beach, and my parents would hang out there with their university friends and drink Black Star beer. And they rented out these boards hewn out of tree trunks. And it was just belly boarding, but there was kind of something, I don't know, he was calling it, zipping along on the crests of combers, racing towards the sand, I guess. It was just belly stuff, but I guess that was the beginning. That wasn't official, we didn't really think about it. And then when I was, I remember being a kid at school at Brighton Hove and Sussex Grammar School, and finding out that my dad had just been accepted to a professorship at the University of Hawaii, and we were all moving. Mm-hmm. So we were like, my brother and I were just giddy with excitement. I was a little 11, 12-year-old at the time. And just thinking we're going to be going to, we had these idiotic ideas that all the girls wore grass skirts, but we knew we were going to be surfing. We absolutely knew we were. There was no doubt we were just going to surf. That was it. And we did pretty much the first day. We went out to, as soon as we got there, we got, mom and down at Waikiki. Rented us those big boards with numbers on them. I think we even had a lesson the first time. That was it. Yeah, one lesson. And block didn't exist. We spent the entire day surfing. So you can imagine the results of that. Little English kids laying on a surfboard with no sunblock all day long, fresh off the plane.
Oh my gosh.
We basically got sun poisoning. Oh. Yeah, we were in bed for days. And the part that was the most painful was the back of our legs, the back of the knee. That's where I seem to remember the worst burn. But yeah, I remember we had our first waves at Baby Queens, inside Queens at Surf Rider Beach in Waikiki, and raced towards shore on big numbered orange tankers.
Right, just going straight to shore.
Oh yeah, of course. And then my parents bought us boards. Pretty, my dad was, I think, started out there as an adjunct professor with not a lot of money. So, but they knew we were serious about surfing, so they took us to buy boards right away, old boards. So, of course, they were all the wrong equipment. My brother had a dated 1968 circa Pig, hideous out-of-date thing. We were already on shortboards by then. This was like 1971. And I got a plastic, fantastic 6/8 pintail.
Wow.
And we just surfed and surfed. We worked our way from Waikiki up to Pops, which was the outer reef out there to the right. And then little by little, we moved our way to Ala Moana.
Right.
Came regulars at Ala Moana, which was okay for a haole kid when you're small. But as I got bigger, start to take some lickings. Yeah.
I've surfed Ala Moana before, and I needed to be shuttled out there by a local friend of mine who lived right near Diamond Head. I was there in the summertime, he was a lifeguard from Jones Beach, and I gave him a call, and I showed up at his house, and he had a quiver of boards, and he's like, pick one, let's go, it's great. And he's just like, just stick on my shoulder, you'll be fine. So you got it. Yeah, it's but I surfed Bomboras, which was a spot off Magic Island. That was our regular spot. I mean, I went to school at Stevenson Intermediate, which was the which catered to the neighborhood, the Popocatepetl neighborhood, which, if you guys recall, from was Eddie, the Aikau family lived in Popocatepetl. It was a designated as a Hawaiian homestay, where people of a certain majority ethnic Polynesian extraction, were all guaranteed a certain affordable housing, and so it became kind of, I don't like the word ghetto, but it was definitely a neighborhood, and it was a rough neighborhood. I ended up going to school with all those guys, and we ended up. And since I was a kid who'd grown up, I didn't have any experience of America and race and ideas of, the ideas that about race that are fostered, growing up in America. Since I'd been my brother and I had often been the only white kids in whatever school we were in Africa and South America. I was born in the Caribbean. So it just was natural that, I ended up hanging out with these Hawaiian kids. And we talked really thick pidgin, my brother and I.